I definitely don't want to lose a lot of those qualities. Yeah, I do have time. I need to stop making excuses. I need to change my mindset. It makes things so simple, and I think it's going to come in handy whenever I have two. I want to just continuously have a positive mindset and remember that I have specific goals that I want to keep up with no matter how many kids we add to this family. Hello and welcome to my 12-week pregnancy video update. So my name's Olivia. If you are new here, I have a 15-month-old baby boy, toddler boy, not a baby, I guess. And I am 12 weeks pregnant with my second child. And so today I just want to share some things that have been on my mind this week. Plus, I want to go into just some mindset things, some goals that I have when life gets busier. You know, there are a lot of times in the past, postpartum period of my life where I've thought to myself, I can't really do this because I have my son. I can't really get this done because my son, blah, blah, blah. And having that kind of mindset is just very negative. And so I do not want to have that, especially when my family is about to grow and change. And so there are some specific goals of mine that I want to share that are very important to me and that I am going to keep up with even when life gets busier, life gets more hectic, and my life gets bigger with a new person in our family. So I just want to share those with you guys today. So let's get started. So as far as this week goes, one thing that I have just kind of been contemplating is going to buy maternity clothes. So for my first pregnancy, I had a friend who gave me so many clothes, so a huge bin of maternity clothes that she had, and I was able to use those for the whole pregnancy, which was so awesome. But she ended up having another baby at 6. She got pregnant 6 months after her first little girl, and so she needed those clothes back. So I do not have those in my wardrobe right now. Plus, I gave all of my maternity clothes to one of my best friends who lives about 4 hours away, and I haven't even told her that I'm pregnant yet. And so, yeah, I do not have any maternity clothes, and my clothes are getting tight. And I am very against buying actual maternity clothes. I generally just buy something that's a little bit bigger because I know that I can wear it for longer. A lot of times maternity clothes have the ruching on the sides or whatever. It's not something that you can just wear after. It's very specific to maternity usually. So instead I just buying a dress that's a size bigger so my belly can just grow with the dress, and then after I can still wear it. So I've really been contemplating going to buy some new stuff, but also I'm really cheap, so I also don't want to. But my belly, it's just crazy how much bigger and different it is than the first time around. I will have to show what it looks like. I'm sure in a few weeks I'm gonna be wow, it was so small, but right now it just feels so big because with my son, I was actually, if I'm remembering it correctly, I was 13 weeks pregnant when I got married. And so I do not believe that I could fit into my wedding dress right now because my belly is way bigger than it was on my wedding day. So if that just shows you the difference in my size this time around, my belly is just growing and it's fine, but my clothes are not keeping up. They really aren't, and I need to figure something out soon. Another thing I really wanted to share is a verse that I've been kind of meditating on for the past few weeks. So I've really been wanting to memorize verses and just have them ready to go and just drawn in my insides. I want to just easily know many verses that go to many different things in my life, because I think whenever I'm in a time of struggle or something like that, just to think back to specific verses that I have memorized, I think it's so helpful. So I've been trying to do that more lately, and one of the verses is Mark 11:24, and it says, "Therefore, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it shall be yours." So I think a lot of times I've prayed in my life, I feel like I'm breathing really heavy because I'm pregnant. So it's so ridiculous. anyways, I think a lot of times in my life I've prayed for something and then I just move on with my life. I don't think about it anymore. I don't even really think that I expected it to come true, I guess. If that makes any sense, I would just pray because I knew that I needed to pray, and I believe that it's good to talk to God about things happening, but I didn't fully expect it to come true. And if I believe in the Bible, I believe that everything in the Bible is true, and I'm reading this verse and it says, whatever you ask for, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. So how can I pray for things and not believe it's going to come true? If it's according to God's will, it's going to come true. And so I know figuring out what God's will is a whole nother story, but I just think that that's so important, especially when you're talking about your pregnancy, your baby, the health of your family. We actually have, my husband and I created a list of all of our goals for my pregnancy, for my birth, and for my husband's just our finances, I guess, and our goals for the future for our family. And so we have those all written down on a board in our bedroom on the wall. And so I just, every time I walk past that and read that, I just want this verse to come to mind and just realize that these things that I'm asking for, these are things that will come true, and just believing wholeheartedly that these are for sure happening. They're all things that God wants for us. And I believe that God wants for us. And so, of course, they're going to come true. And this is not just one verse in the Bible that I've pulled out. This is said in the Bible many times, have faith and don't doubt, believe and don't doubt. It says it many, many times in the Bible throughout, just saying whatever you're asking for, as long as it's according to his will, it will be true. And so I think that is a really good scripture just to meditate on, definitely to memorize. It's super easy, super simple. And yeah, I just want to share that. So another thing that came up this week, my friend Emily, who I recently, I guess you would call it an interview. She just shared her birth story and I was able to ask her tons of questions. And so I recently put that up on my channel. And so I will link that here if you want to go listen to it. It's a really sweet story about her births. She's had 2 home births that were successful and she felt very empowered, and it's just a really cool story. Plus I was able to ask her little questions, trying not to give away the fact that I personally was pregnant at the time of recording it. But anyways, so I think there's a lot of insightful things in there. So definitely go give that a listen. So anyways, Emily asked me this week, what is your favorite part of this natural journey that you've been on for the past few years, I guess, or what's the best part? And I think my answer to her was, I started on the natural journey because I realized what was in our household products, cleaning products, and our shampoo, conditioner, all those kind of things that are going on our body. But then that spread to our food, and then it really spread to how God created us, how he created us to work with land and for our food and all those types of things, going back to the basics, going back to the way that I believe that God designed this life for us. And so that's also made me dig deeper into the Bible, which is really great. It's also made me read more, which we'll get into that, but I'm not a reader. But it's made me just open my mind to a lot of different things, get into some political things, which is crazy because I've never had an interest in it. It's just permeated through my life, and I think in a really positive way. And so just that kind of made me think, whenever I have my next baby, I definitely don't want to lose a lot of those qualities. There are so many things that I've learned along this journey that I want to keep up with, and I don't want to sacrifice that just because I get in a rut and I have a lot of things going on, or a new child in the mix, or I am busier or more tired, or whatever the case might be. I want to just continuously have a positive mindset and remember that I have specific goals that I want to keep up with no matter how many kids we add to this family. And so I just want to share some of those things today with you guys. So the first major important thing that I don't want to sacrifice when our family grows is the food. So I think that the food that we eat is super important. It's probably like the most important thing that you can do for your family, in my opinion, is to give your family quality meals with good ingredients. And so I never want to just like sacrifice the way that I'm trying to fuel my family because I don't have time or whatever. And, you know, I've listened to some people's YouTube channels or podcasts who have like 6 or 7 kids, and I've heard them say before, you know, you don't realize how much time you have at the beginning. Like when you just have 1 kid, you don't realize how much time you actually have. When you have 2, you still don't realize that. Once you get to 7 and you realize like your life is so crazy and busy, it's just so much different. You look back on those times when you only have 1 or 2 and you realize like you have all the time in the world. And so when I heard that, it just made me realize like, yeah, I do have time. I need to stop making excuses. I need to change my mindset and just realize that like the food aspect, that's super important to me. And so however I can make that easier, more streamlined, just like more simplified for my family, that is what I want to do and continue to do. Because there are times, of course, where I like don't go get groceries until late, maybe after a nap and it goes late or something like that, or I just don't plan ahead as well as I need to. And I am not above having to go get Chipotle. I'm not above it, or like whatever. In times like that, when I've lost track of things, like I'm not going to freak out and feed my family dinner at 10 p.m. because I have to feed them food from scratch at home. Like there are times in our life where I have to just like bite the bullet and go pick up food, and it's not the end of the world. It's going to be fine. But for the most part, I definitely want to feed my family from scratch type of meals that are very nutritious and healthy. Like, for example, we did our raw milk pickup this morning. I got yogurt. Once a month, we pick up all of our meat from a local farm. And so those are things I want to continue, and I don't want to sacrifice them just because like I have another baby. Another thing I've been thinking about, although it's very premature, is just like postpartum. How do I make those days when I really need to rest and just like take things slow? Like how can I continue our food situation without being stressed out? And so I think planning out freezer meals, we have a huge deep freeze. And so I have already planned some like meals that I think that would go really well in the freezer. And so I think, you know, maybe starting 36 weeks or something, maybe I'll have my family come over and we'll make some of those meals just so I already have them, and it's just super simple and easy. So hopefully that goes super well. So the next thing I don't want to sacrifice is reading the Bible, staying in the Word. So what I've learned is I cannot listen to just the Bible app. Like the voices on there, I can't do it. I'm sorry, I just can't. I'm not trying to be offensive, but it's too, I don't know, something about those voices, I can't do it. I bought this Bible for my husband, and it's from Filament. I'm going to have to link it below in the description, but it has like an app where it reads the Bible to you, and the voice on there is so great. I can just listen to it for days. It is the best. It just sounds like you're reading a book. It doesn't sound like the normal like Bible, like very choppy, like no inflection in the voice. Like it is so much better, and I listen to it every day. And so that has been super helpful because I'm making an excuse, and I definitely could find time to read the Bible, like sit down and read the Bible every day. But when I go on a walk with my son, he does not care what I'm listening to. So if I throw on the Bible, I can listen to the Bible way more than if I were to try to make time each day, which like reading a hard copy Bible, which I think is still great. And I still like reading the Bible, but just to have that extra app on hand, it makes things so simple. And I think it's going to come in handy whenever I have 2 that I'm trying to corral, and I still can listen to the Bible and get the word in each day. Another thing that's important to me is reading. So I'm pretty sure from age 16 or 17 till 26, I read one book from front to back, and that was the first Hunger Games book. Why? I have no idea, but I somehow got through like my high school and college years without reading a book fully. Like, I was skipping a lot, reading like, what is it called? The Cliff Notes or whatever. Yeah, like somehow I got by doing that and still passed and made really good grades. Don't know how that happened, but I've always hated reading. Like, I've hated it so much. But for some reason, in the recent years, I have kind of fallen in love with reading, which sounds so weird for me to say. But I read probably every day. I mean, I'm reading the Bible, but I'm also reading other books. So pretty much every night before I go to bed, I am reading some kind of book, whether it's like a pregnancy, birth type of book, maybe it is like a biblical book, maybe it's like a mindset, what's your purpose type of book, something like that. And so I definitely feel like that's one of those things that, you know, a lot of my day is just me and a child who can't speak. And I'm about to add another one of those. Well, not about to, but in the future, I'm going to be adding another baby who is just a child who can't speak. And so, you know, when my husband comes home and we're having a conversation, I can tell him about the kids, about my son, but I feel like it's always good to have like some other thing to talk about. And reading like an adult book where you're like feeling like you're talking to someone or like getting insight from someone who is like a real adult human being and not a child, I think that is super beneficial. Plus it gives me something to talk about with my husband. And so I really like reading, and I feel like I'm continuously learning, which is really awesome. And I feel like everyone should keep doing that even when you're not a child in school. So another thing that's super important to me is keeping a screen-free household. So I really dislike using my phone around my child. Of course, there's phones literally everywhere. Everyone uses a phone. We can't go to the store without seeing a phone. Like, everyone has a phone. So of course he knows we have phones. He gets it. We're in the 21st century. Like, it is what it is. But I do not like just like openly using it right next to him, or like when he's playing, I don't like to use it. Like, I don't want to use it unless I have to, or unless like I have to do a work thing, or of course, like if someone calls that I need to answer, whatever, I'll do that. Or I actually do let him do like FaceTime calls with like my mom, his grandma, things like that. But aside from that, we don't do screens. We don't watch any shows. We don't watch any movies. There's never anything up on anything. My husband loves it. No, he doesn't. But that is just something that's super important to me. I never want him to feel like I'm addicted to my screen, I'm addicted to my phone. I don't want to set that kind of example for him. Not that that's bad if other people want to do that, but like that is just something that I feel convicted by. And I'm going to be honest, lately, like I've been tired. And so whenever I usually try to like order groceries, which takes a while on my phone, I usually do that at night or during his nap, but I've recently been like sleeping when he's sleeping when he naps. And so sometimes I've been on my phone more than I would like to around him, which I don't like that I'm doing that. And I really need to stop. This is a reminder for me to stop. It's just something that I don't want to do. And especially when I have another kid, and it would be super easy to just put my son in front of a screen. I don't want to do it right now. I am promising myself I'm not going to do that. It's so easy. I'm sure it's so easy. And you could say like 30 minutes here and there is not going to kill him. I get it. But I just personally don't want to do it. I think once I open like Pandora's box and he sees it for the first time, like watches a show for the first time, I think it's just going to make things harder. Not that I'm always going to do this. Of course, at some point, he's going to watch a show with his dad. Like, he's going to watch a movie with us, okay? But just for right now, I still don't want to do it. So that is a goal of mine. Another thing that's super important to me is homeschooling. So I've done research on this, and I personally want to homeschool my kids. At some point, let's say my son turns 15 and he is really into baseball and he wants to go to a real school where he can play baseball and not just at like a club practice situation, whatever. I'm cool with that. I want them to make their own decisions, and if that's what he chooses, then that's awesome. Like, I'm not tied down to homeschooling for life, but these beginning years, like, I definitely want to homeschool. And for the first 3 years of life, I believe that kids should be with their mom. If that's not possible, dad. If that's not possible, I believe family. And so I don't want to ever like compromise and just send my kids to daycare or anything like that. I am not saying that that's bad, and if that is what you need to do and you have a job to go to and whatever, like, there are good places out there. I'm not like trying to offend anyone or say that that's wrong, whatever, but I just personally feel convicted by that. Like, I feel like he should be with me, and so I never want to, even adding another kid or another 2 more kids or 3 more kids, whatever, I don't ever want to just like feel defeated and feel like I need to send him off somewhere or send any of the kids off somewhere. I want to have our household under control and feel at peace and like have my kids here and figure out what we need to figure out to make that work, because that is super important to me, and I don't want that to get lost as I have more kids. So another thing that's important to me is taking care of myself. Something that kind of goes hand in hand with this is working out. Like, I never want to lose sight of keeping up with what I need. Of course, my kids always come first, but I realized this in my postpartum with my son, that once like 6 months hit or something like that, and I realized like I'm not working out, I don't have time to decompress, I'm just like trying to do everything that my child needs, and it really got to me, and I was a worse mom, a worse wife, and I don't want to get to that point again, and I just want to make sure that I always am like taking care of my needs, which is really important, and you don't really think about it until it's like too late almost. So I definitely want to keep that conversation up with my husband to make sure that I have some time to decompress whenever we add a new child into the mix. And it's just simple things like I need a couple extra minutes in the shower. I need to brush my hair. Like, I need to like sit in the bed and just like relax or read or something like that. It's nothing big, because like I am very much not into like doing my hair and makeup or getting my nails done or shopping or anything like that. Like, I don't like any of that stuff. Like, that's not like the way that I take care of myself. One of the big ways that I take care of myself, not that anything's bad with those things, it's just not me, but one of the things that I really love in terms of taking care of myself is working out. Like, if I work out, I feel so much better about myself, about life. Just like, I just feel better when I get to sweat. I'm like a weirdo, and I love sweating. I love running. I love working out, like high intensity types of workouts. Not necessarily right now because of my state, but it's going to come back in the second trimester. I know it. And I'll be back to my normal like shenanigans when it comes to working out. I have always like played volleyball my whole life, and I played volleyball in college, and so I've always been working out. So I never want to lose that. I would love to have like a gym in our home, like in our garage or something, where like the kids could play outside and I could like have a little space and do my workout, whatever. That's not the case right this second. Our garage is scary, but one day, that's a dream, that's a goal of mine, to have a little setup, something like that. But I just want to keep that as a goal and remember that I need to take care of myself to be a good mom, to be a good wife, and that is really important to me, and I think definitely to my family. The last thing that I kind of already touched on this, but the last thing I want to remember is to continuously like improve myself, to continuously learn, educate myself, because my husband is one of those people who's like always reading, always learning, always listening to new podcasts and trying to meet people to learn what they're doing. And he's such like always about trying to do more, learn more, start new companies. Like, he's so like that, which I am generally not like that at all. Like, I don't have super big ambitions for like my career or anything like that. I've just wanted to be a mom and that's it. And I've never like had some crazy goals to do X, Y, and Z, to have a certain house, to have certain car, money, anything like that. Like, that's just has never been something that I've wanted. But he is always like a go-getter. He always wants to do more, whatever. Not necessarily, I'm making it sound like he just wants to make money and whatever. He does want to make money. He's a boy. I don't know. But it's more than that. He's always trying to learn. I hope that makes sense. So I feel like if I am not learning and like bettering myself, it's just it's not fun to like talk about things when he is continuously like, here's what I learned, here's the new thing, have you ever heard of this, blah blah blah. Like, it's so much better to have conversations with him when I am growing as a person as well. And I can tell whenever I like learn something new or I'm super passionate about something that I've heard or whatever, like I feel like he like loves me more in that moment. Like, he's like very proud of me whenever I am growing and like learning and whatever. Why is that like making me emotional? I don't know. This pregnancy, I am so emotional. I do not know what's going on. But anyways, I love that we both love to learn and love to like continuously grow and learn about our health and learn about how we can make our household better, how we can be better parents, like all those types of things, like self-growth type of books and all those types of things. Like, those are things that are important to us as a family, and I never want to stop doing that just because we have kids. Like, I want to continue that and just make sure that that's a goal of mine that I continuously remember. So that is all I have. Those are some things that are super important to me. If you have anything specific that's important to you, I would love to hear that in the comments. And if you have anything specific you want to hear about in this pregnancy, please let me know. I have a couple ideas going forward, but I would love to hear what you guys want, what you guys are interested in. So let me know, and I will see you in the next video.